Welcome, everyone, to the MMA Happy Hour. I am Kyle Anthony, your host, where today we are talking UFC Paris. We've got Benoit Saint-Denis versus Renato Moicano. We're going to be breaking down 4 plays here on the show today. Last week, we were off. It was nice. I was in Atlantic City with some friends, relaxing, play a little craps, a little pai gow. What else did I play? Very small roulette. I can't stand that fucking game. But besides for that, it was a great weekend, relaxing. But we are back to business this weekend. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. And before we get into these 4 plays, hit the like button. Let me know what you think about the main event. If we agree, disagree, love having the conversations. And with that being said, let's dive into the main event of the evening between Benoit Saint-Denis and Renato Moicano. Now, we've got Benoit minus 285 in the comeback. You've got Moicano around plus 220. Now, this is definitely an interesting fight when you're looking at it, because you've got Saint-Denis, who is going to look to push forward, going to look to wrestle, going to be relentless, going to really push that pace. And on the other side, you got Moicano, who is a UFC vet, well-rounded, and does have jiu-jitsu. Now, that's going to be the interesting part, I think, about this fight. But before we kind of talk about that, I think the first thing you got to talk about, really is both of these guys' last fights. Very interesting when you're looking at it, because the first thing is you got Benoit Saint-Denis, who was going up against Dustin Poirier. Big spot for him. Looked like they were really kind of pushing this guy. If he gets the win, he's going to get a title fight. He's going to have big opportunities for him here. And yes, clients, we did take Dustin Poirier at like a plus 180, plus 175, somewhere around there. He got the job done. But the interesting part about it is kind of obviously how it all played out. You've got Benoit, who goes out there, finds a lot of success in that first round, getting takedowns, threatening, finding opportunities on the mat. And then he got tired, gets clipped, goes down, fight over. And Benoit loses. But you look at the fight here and now, it really comes down to, do you subscribe to the staph infection? Do you believe that that's really what was kind of going on with Benoit, or does he have shit cardio? Do we kind of see it in that particular situation there, which it does leave some questions, when you're looking at the fight. It does. Staph does seem like what it probably was, but it's definitely leaves some questions overall. And then even with Moicano getting dominated by Jalen Turner, getting slapped around, ends up finding a big turnaround in that second round, goes out there and gets the victory. Now, that part of it, I think, is interesting. But when you look at it as a stylistic situation between these two, you've got the wrestler in Saint-Denis, who's going to look, again, to push forward, look for level changes, look for top control, and be relentless with it. And now on the other side, you've got Moicano, who is going to have a submission threat, and that to me does open up opportunities for Moicano. You got to really watch where he's sticking his head, where he's looking to kind of dive in there. Moicano, I think, is going to try to be opportunistic with these. I think that's something that he's going to look to do, where he's looking to dive in forward and at least try to start to throw some of those submissions in, because I do think there is an opportunity for Benoit to bully him down, take him down, get the control time, and really batter him down there. Now, that's the part of it where you're looking at it, that Benoit is the guy that's going to stick to the game plan. He's not going to look to just stand and strike and just say, hey, let's just throw leather in the center. He's going to mix up the takedowns. Now, you look at it here, Benoit averages about 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. So you know what you're getting with this guy. You really know what you're getting with this guy. Out of his 7 UFC fights, he has 16 takedowns. Again, sticking to the game plan, looking what he's looking to do, push forward, ground and pound, keep you down there, and really bully you in that particular manner, and really just smother everything that the opponent really pushes forward. Now, yes, the other side of it here is, yes, Saint-Denis is not as technical as Moicano. He's just not very technical. He can come forward. He can swing. He's definitely a guy that's going to look to, utilize that pressure or really push forward and find those opportunities and really look to kind of bully his opponent. And it's worked out well for him, because it really just overwhelms most of the guys that he's been against, where they're just not able to get any offense off. He's able to really dictate the pace, find either the finish or just overwhelm him overall. And this guy is a finisher also when you're looking at it. But when the big thing for me here is that, yes, Saint-Denis is a guy that can be hittable. He is a guy that can be hittable on the feet. But the other part of it, is that I think that he is really going to stifle some of those things where he's going to be getting these takedowns. Plus the fact that I am not big on Moicano's chin. Moicano's chin is a big liability to him in this spot here. Out of his last 9 UFC fights, he's basically been knocked down in half of them, about 4. And that to me already speaks to, this could also be part of the decline of Moicano. He's now 35 years old. Things aren't going to get better for him in this particular spot. And you can't also take away the fact that, yes, Moicano does have the submission ability, but also he's kind of okay playing off of his back and those kinds of things. I think that is going to be terrible for him if he looks to get these takedowns and he looks to kind of work from top position on Moicano. The big power that Saint-Denis has, I think is going to really test that chin, whether you're ground and pounding, whether you're standing and striking. I think that chin is an actual liability for him because Saint-Denis, 100% finish rate overall, 13 victories, 9 by submission, 4 by knockout. This guy is the real deal here, and he is a finisher. And I'm not impressed, overall, really with kind of this run that, we're saying, hey, Moicano is, kind of getting back, hey, look at him. He's having this success. His best win really over, any kind of recent time, I believe, is really the Drew Dober fight that he won, which was, Dober was 34-35. Dober right now is 1-3 out of his last 4. So not the greatest overall, where this is a spot here where I do believe that, Saint-Denis is a monster. He is, even when I bet against him, it was more of a situation of really just believing in the striking of Poirier to kind of land some big shots. But you really did see that, the bullying forward pressure of Saint-Denis is going to be a lot here. So I do think this is a spot where you're going to see Saint-Denis cut the distance, get in tight, look for the takedowns, and look to smash him. I think he really has his way with him on the ground, even on the feet. I think that Saint-Denis has the big opportunity here. So getting off the big, nearly 3-1 favorite here, I do like Saint-Denis inside the distance. That's looking around -140, -145, depending where you're shopping it here. I think that's a good price. I think that this guy who has a 100% finish rate, more likely finishing this 35-year-old when he's on home soil here in a big moment. So I do like Benoit Saint-Denis to get the job done inside the distance. Next one here we're going to talk about is Joanderson Brito, -275 against William Gomis, +225. Now, looking at this fight here, I think, dynamic-wise, this is an interesting fight here because you've got a guy in Joanderson Brito who is really going to look to push the pace. He's going to get in your face. He's going to swing. He's going to, if he doesn't land a big shot, he's going to look for a power takedown, take you down. Big ground and pound. The guy is strong. He's athletic, physicality, all these things he's got going for him. And then you look at the other side here with Gomis, who is a rangy striker, a guy who's going to work at distance, going to really, just kind of, chop away, work in space, chop away. And that's kind of really been more of a point fighter situation for him. Now, yes, does Gomis, he has ability. I do like what he does. I think that he does have some nice striking, good distance management. He's the kind of guy, again, that's going to land a shot, get out of range, land a shot, get out of range, and really just be very risk adverse through the fight. That's just really how he fights. Now, the issue for me in his particular situation is the fact that he's extremely low volume. His output is very low volume. He's sometimes overly too patient. And I think even with that is that, sitting back and allowing the opponent to dictate the pace in certain styles does work. But in a style against a guy like Brito, who is going to be overly aggressive, that to me is one of the worst things that you can do against a guy who's going to be extremely aggressive. Now, the best way to really slow down an aggressive fighter, now this is easier said than done, but is really pretty much doing the same thing. You've got to show resistance. You've got to show, the ability to kind of put force forward. You've got to, out-volume him. You've got to all of a sudden put him out of his game. Now, if Gomis is going to stand at distance and just try to, pick him apart at range, I don't think that works. I really think that's where you're going to see and these lapses in time where you're not going to have Gomis really firing off any kind of shots, and you're going to have opportunities for Brito to either level change, look for takedowns, push forward, throw big shots, dictate the pace, let him go first. And he's fine going first. Brito's fine going first, second, and third. This guy's going to keep pushing forward. And that's really how he's had a lot of success landing these big shots overall. I think that the pressure is going to be a lot for Gomis. I think he's not going to be able to kind of find opportunity. If this was in The apex, I got to say, I would be, even more higher on Brito with less space for Gomis to kind of be able to, kind of create. But Brito, again, is a finisher. He's a guy that's going to look for big shots. He's going to look for the finish. And when you look at it, he's also a guy that's going to be looking for those takedowns. So I think, again, this is a spot where there's multiple paths here for a big favorite, and we got to find a way to kind of whittle this down a little bit. And you look at it, 17 victories, 8 by submission, 7 by knockout. So again, this isn't even a guy that looks for, he's just a big knockout artist or he's just a submission guy. This just shows how well-rounded he is. I am very high on Brito overall as a fighter here. He's going to have the strength advantage, going to have the physicality advantage as well, too. He's averaging 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. So again, this is a guy that has power in his hands and is a guy that can put the fight where he wants it. He can look for the takedowns, ground and pound, or he can just keep it standing. And I think that's really going to make Gomis very uncomfortable at range, on the feet, anywhere this fight goes overall. And also, I think that one of the things that kind of looks bad for William Gomis is the fact that Francis Marshall took him down twice. Now, I understand Francis Marshall is a wrestler and he was defending some of these things and whatever it may be. But, to me, Brito, if he wants these takedowns, I think will get them at an extremely high clip if he goes that way with it. And I think that's going to open up opportunities for him overall. So for me in this spot here, Joanderson Brito is a guy that's willing to go out there, get the finish. He's hunting the finish early. And that gets me off of this big number here again, nearly a 3-1 favorite here. We're going to move that down to inside the distance plus 105. I think, again, likely path here. I know that Gomis a little bit worrisome of that. Can he really slow this down? And all of a sudden, Brito can't find, maybe Brito's winning rounds, but can't find the kill shot or can't get him down. That could be a little bit of a worrisome here, but I do believe that Brito is such a bull going forward, such power. I think that Gomis does not have enough for him to keep it on the feet or even just withstand some of the big shots here. So I'm going Joanderson Brito inside the distance plus 105. Next one here we're going to be talking about is going to be Firas Ziam minus 130 against Matt Frevola plus 110. Now, this one here is another one here, all day long, all I do is watch fights, watch past fights, watch the market, look at props, look at, data, numbers. I look at everything all week. And one of the things that I thought was an interesting line movement this week was this Matt Frevola line here against Ziam. You had Matt Frevola, who was anywhere from a minus 150 to minus 165 favorite around opening, and the line has switched, and you see a lot of money coming in on Firas, and now we're talking a minus 130 for him, plus 110 for Frevola. Interesting there, and I get it. I definitely get it when it comes to Firas. Firas definitely is a guy who has, good striking, crisp combinations, another guy with decent footwork. And these are the things I think against Frevola, who is a guy that is a little bit more big hooks, big power, caveman style coming forward, throwing the big bombs. And yes, again, it has worked for him. He's been able to go out there and find a lot of success. But I think the issue here, is the fact that, yes, again, cleaner technical striker, it has to go to Ziam. He's definitely going to be the cleaner, more technical striker, but also the fact that, his striking in general, and he's got a 4-inch reach advantage. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage. He's probably going to be the better striker, have crisper combinations. But the big issue here is he's susceptible to being taken down. And that, to me, opens up opportunities here for Matt Frevola. And it's not that, and I understand a lot of people may say, Matt hasn't really used his wrestling, or he hasn't been able to, or we haven't seen him go takedown. It's really because he's just knocking everybody out. And if you look at Matt Frevola here, the guy, what do you have? 3 straight victories, all of them by knockout. So he hasn't had to do it. They were first rounders. It wasn't anything that he had to go out there and dictate the pace. And the thing here for me is one of the big red flags under the Ziam side was his recent fight against Claudio Puelles. Against Puelles, who is a guy who has no physical strength, who is a very elite, high-level grappler, but has, terrible takedown ability overall. And that really, has just really hurt him in his career, where he's just not able to get these takedowns and get guys to where he wants to go. 36% takedown success rate in the UFC, not great. Now the issue here is that Firas was taken down by him 7 times. So that, again, it's not that Puelas found a lot of success on the ground or landed big shots, because he's just really struggled with certain things where it's just the transition from getting the guy to the ground and then getting the control. He does not have the strength. I think he just lacks a lot of that. And you got someone like Matt Frevola who may have some of that. Now, I think he's going to be the stronger guy. I think he's going to have, some of those physicality advantages too here. But Frevola, again, hasn't had to wrestle. And I think if he's able to, that opens up the opportunities. And you saw that he did do that against Saint-Denis. Against Saint-Denis, that fight ended very quickly. But you saw Matt Frevola got 2 takedowns. Now, he wasn't able to do anything with it. And again, Saint-Denis is a beast on the ground, but Saint-Denis, and his wrestling ability is completely different than we were talking about Firas Ziam, who has no takedown defense. I don't really think it's that very good overall. Lacks physicality, can't do much on the ground. And I think that's where you are going to see somebody like Matt Frevola have big success here, utilize the wrestling, work the takedowns. There's going to be a big advantage there. And I think if Frevola works at range, it's going to be a problem. There's definitely no doubt it's going to be a problem. He's going to have that reach. He's going to have that range. And Frevola, technically speaking, doesn't have that high level striking that I do think that Ziam is going to have, be a lot more crisper on the feet compared to Frevola. So you add in the fact that, yes, he can look for these takedowns, but not only that, but another issue is that, Firas is low volume. So he's a guy that struggles, defending takedowns and wrestling, but also doesn't push out that volume. And it's another spot here that we were kind of talking about it in the prior fight is, you've got to be able to, if the guy's pushing you forward, and Matt Frevola is absolutely going to be moving forward against Ziam. He's going to have the power advantage. So he's going to be looking to move forward. And if he moves forward, the takedowns will be there. It'll keep Ziam on his back foot. It'll force, him into uncomfortable positions. And that, I think, is really where you can see that Matt Frevola finding success, landing big shots, mixing in the takedowns, and that will mix things up for Ziam on the feet. I think he will struggle with some of those things here too while he backpedals. So I like Matt Frevola here, and this is one that I'm definitely keeping an eye on here because I like him. Plus 110. I think the price is already good, but I'm interested to see kind of where else this goes. The line has consistently moved in the favor of Ziam, so I think that Frevola, this dog money, may get a little bit bigger here, but I do like Matt Frevola at plus 110. And the last one here we got to talk about the ladies here. We have Aileen Perez versus Dara Zhelezniakova, whatever the fuck her name is. We're going to call her Dara for now. But we have a match here between these two ladies. I'm not going to dive into this one too much here, but this is one of those low-level MMA fights. And with these brings a lot of volatility, a massive amount of volatility. It's also, little side note here, it's also why I think a lot of people hit me up throughout when there's Contender Series. Everyone's saying, who do you like with Dana White's Contender Series? Who do you like this? I watch it. I love it. I definitely watch it. I bet it very, very small. And I don't even give these out to clients because I don't even want the exposure. So again, very tiny amounts because of the fact of the volatility being so high. When you're putting your money in really shit organizations, whether it's Bellator or PFL, some of these low level ones, the volatility is extremely high because these fighters are not that good. Like, they're all not really that good, and they make a lot of mistakes. Even the best ones or the better ones in these Dana White's Contender Series type fights are really not that good of fighters. I mean, maybe are they really considered a lot better than the guy they're fighting, who's also a very low level guy or very new and raw? They're going to make mistakes. We've seen it. We even saw it this past weekend where guys who are these big favorites, they look like shit out there, or they just really don't perform to their number at all and lose. And again, that's not what I'm looking to do here. I do this for a living. I'm only looking to put my money in strong positions week in and week out. And UFC events definitely is the one for me. But with that being said, we have a fight here between Aileen and Daria. Now, in this fight here, again, low-level fight. I get it, low-level fight. But I do believe we have a path here. And you look at Daria, who does have some striking. She's long, she's rangy, she can move forward. She's not too bad in space. She does throw some nice combinations overall. But one of the issues here is again an opportunity for level changes. And going back and looking at their fights, and to me, when you're being taken down by Montserrat Rendon 3 times, to me, it spells a lot of bad things here when you're about to fight Aileen Perez, who is going to absolutely sell out for 15 minutes on takedowns, be relentless with it, cut distance, not care, and just keep doing that. And I think that is really going to, hurt Daria in this spot here where, you've got she lands, what is it here? An average of 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. So there's another one again who's going to look for it, who's going to stick to the path. She consistently sticks to the path. Out of her 4 UFC fights, she has 19 takedowns. That to me is impressive again, but I get it. She's an OnlyFans model, or I say model, but OnlyFans chick. And she does her thing on there. And I know that people kind of downplay a lot of that stuff, and I understand it. I get it. But overall, her wrestling is not that bad. It's really not. Her striking's not very good, but her wrestling is not that bad. And she does, again, have that physicality. Another one who's strong, who can look to muscle down, who can bully an opponent. And I think that's where she can open up some opportunities here. And again, if Daria's being taken down by Rendon, I think this is really going to be opportunities for Perez to find a lot of success here also. And even if you look at it, the other part of this now is that I do believe that Perez wins. I do believe she wins. I think there's opportunity for her here. But I think, again, what we're always looking to do, we're looking for value. We're looking for opportunities to whittle some of these numbers down, to really put our money in strong positions, less exposure, less equity that we got to put out monetarily. And then on the other side here, we're looking to really just, good ROI, good closing line value as well. And this is another spot here where Perez has an opportunity here to get this victory, but I do like her to win via points here. And the reason why is that, she is on this 3-fight winning streak in the UFC. All of them are by decision. And she has definitely had a little bit of some suspect performances and certain moments she has had, but she's won. She's been able to do what she needs to do to just get those, to bank the round, get the victory, get her hand raised. But she's not somebody that really is a finisher. She does have some finishes on her record prior to the UFC, but this is not somebody who's this big time finisher or anything like that overall. And one of them I thought was a little suspect was the fact that she was against Ashley Evans Smith, who's 1-5 out of her last 6. And I don't even think she even fights in the UFC anymore, or fights anywhere for that matter anymore. And she took her down, I don't know, was it 9-10 times, something like that in that fight, and she wasn't able to get the finish. And the last time she got a finish, as in Perez, was, I believe it was like 2022, and this is when she was fighting in, what was it called? Samurai Fight House. Samurai Fight House 4. And that fight there, she fought someone who hadn't fought in years, and she ended up finishing her, and then that girl still has not fought since in years. And then even before that, she fought in Samurai Fight House 3, which I'm sure was a barn burner. And even in that fight there, she fought someone who was 0-2-2 in their professional career. Now, reason I'm bringing up these people, not to bash Perez, but these are the people that she can finish. Those are the types of fighters that I believe that Perez can finish. I think Daria is a little bit better. I think she can stay safe in certain spots. And I think it will be competitive at certain spots, but I think the takedowns and control time are going to be what's the difference maker here. So again, getting off this -238 number on Perez, I do like her. Via points is -130. I think, again, another nice price. And I think a very likely outcome when she gets the decision here on Saturday night. So I'm taking Aileen Perez via points. And there you have it for UFC Paris this weekend. This Saturday, don't forget, it starts 12 Eastern Standard Time, and then 3 o'clock, the main card starts. So some early fights there on Saturday. If you want to become a client, link it down in the description. And let's keep this party rolling. Let's cash.